Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review 2015's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that recently I have only just reviewed Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and the reason behind that is I'd not really had much interest in the Mission Impossible movies after the third one. I've not been a huge fan of the Mission Impossible series. But I was pleasantly surprised when I watched Ghost Protocol, and the reviews on the channel if you want to watch that. So it inspired me to watch Rogue Nation next. And I have to say, guys, that after watching Rogue Nation, I was even more so impressed with this movie. I really enjoyed this movie, and some of the criticisms that I gave Ghost Protocol, I felt they addressed in this movie a bit more. In a sense of I felt that Ethan was a bit more vulnerable in this movie. I think there was a stronger female character in this movie. He needed to be rescued a number of times in this movie, Ethan, and the members of his team felt relevant and useful, and the main threat, I enjoyed the main villain in this movie. And if you don't know and you haven't seen this movie, this film focuses on Ethan, who is basically on the trail of a secret organisation called the Syndicate, I believe. I mean, it's very Spectre. I mean, it's very, in that sense, there's no getting away with it. It kind of feels like they're giving the Mission Impossible series and Ethan its own Spectre to fight, you know, like James Bond. So it did feel very much like that, and that was my first thought when it all came to fruition in regards to the plot of this movie. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that I thought it elevated this movie, the central threat of this movie, this secret organisation that is one step ahead of Ethan and his team all the time, and he's constantly playing catch up. And the Rebecca Ferguson character in this movie, it did a really good job of keeping you guessing as to what her intentions are and whose side she's on. She's constantly helping Ethan and his team, but then again she's also constantly helping the Syndicate and the British intelligence. You never know whose side she's on, really, and I think the movie does a really good job of keeping you guessing at certain aspects of this movie. Simon Pegg returns, who I think is even more impressive in this movie than he was in the last one. He's got a meteor role, I think. Jeremy Renner's, I thought I preferred his performance in this role, in this movie, than I did in Ghost Protocol. And we get a welcome return from Ving Rhames as well, from the earlier Mission Impossible movies. So I think there's an awful lot to enjoy here. And these movies, I think, are built on the strength of the action set pieces. And once again, this film completely delivers on that front. Really fantastic action throughout. You get your obligatory Tom Cruise stunt at the beginning of the movie. You know, the one where you see him hanging off the plane that was actually him, and all this business. And there's a couple of other things in the movie where, again, you kind of feel like it's Tom Cruise playing, you know, in his playground sort of thing. But overall, this felt like a much more collaborative piece, and I think it felt more like a Mission Impossible movie in the sense of every character had a part to play and everybody had an important role. I enjoyed Alec Baldwin's appearance in this movie quite a lot, actually. I thought he gave a good performance, even though it's only really an extended cameo. And yeah, really enjoyed this movie, guys. And while I enjoyed Ghost Protocol, this for me was the next level up in regards to my enjoyment of it. I just thought there were far few misses in this movie than there were in Ghost Protocol. Yes, okay, some of the thing is still a little bit dumbed down about how they get from A to B and all that kind of stuff, and but it did feel like there was a genuine threat for Ethan, and was he out of his depth. And for me, I thought the main villain in this piece was probably the strongest villain in the series. But that's coming from someone that's not a huge fan of this series. There might be somebody out there who's a huge fan of the Mission Impossible movies would argue that, swap that away and say, oh god no, the villain in such and such was far better. But from the movies that I've seen, and I have seen them all now, I think the villain in this one is the strongest villain that I've seen in the movies. I thought it was really well done. So there you go, guys. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I would give this a really good score of... for me, if I go as high as 9 out of 10 for a movie, that means it absolutely blew me away. And I'm not saying... I don't think this absolutely blew me away, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. So I'll give it an 8.9 out of 10. So close to a 9 out of 10. But it's probably my favourite of the series, I would say. I do still have a soft spot for the first Mission Impossible movie, even though it is a bit cheesy. And like I say, I don't think I could watch the second one again. I don't think it's terrible. All style of substance, that movie. And the third one, I just don't remember much about that one, so that says a lot about that one, doesn't it, for me? But yeah, I have to say, guys, I really enjoyed this one. A good solid 8.9 out of 10. So I am primed and ready for the new one that is coming out this summer. So I will probably go and see it at the cinema. Especially as I understand from the trailers that we have some returning faces from this movie that's going to be in the new one. So yeah, guys, yeah. I really enjoyed this one, so thank you very much for watching, everybody. And don't forget to click that like button and subscribe if you don't also do so already. Thank you very much for watching.